is the Pile of Hockey Eagles postgame show live from Motion Casino into the wee hours of the morning. Thanks for hanging with us. I'm Mike Missinelli with Mark Marzetta, Kayla Santiago, Seth Joyner. It's time to extend the play with Mark Farzetta. I don't know where you're extending, but I'm curious to find out, brother.
I mean, the only way
sorry,
we can
Bill Colarulo is here, not Kayla. You look like Kayla for a second. I apologize.
A little bit.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
No. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got to go with Drew Lock at the end of the game. 92-yard scoring drive. Perfect pass. Perfect catch by Smith and Jigma there to reel that in. Extending the play, that was the one that extended it there for the Seahawks to be able to get the win. It was absolutely incredible by them. Good to them. But you know what? We also do have to give a hat tip to our friends at EBOD, the EBOD Foundation, because just like football, Michael, just like football, the team's strength lies in its players and in some instances coaches or maybe others that want to help promote them, like us here at JAKIB Media that is promoting the EBOD Foundation and their battle against Alzheimer's and their help and assistance to Alzheimer's research and battling against dementia as well. And all football season long, we've been telling you about the EBOD Foundation, the EBOD Foundation, and your donation today not only supports this critical mission but also enters you to win a trip, how about this, to the big game in Vegas. This is your opportunity to win 2 tickets to the big game, 2 nights in a hotel, and $2,000 in cash for expenses. All you have to do is text the word SCORE to 833-202-9835. That's 833-202-9835, and you'll receive info on how to enter and win this fantastic trip. Together, let's triumph over Alzheimer's. And there it is right there. You make sure you use promo codes Team Miss, Team Seth, Team Gun, and Team Farzi as well. All to help the EBOD Foundation.
Very well done, and a very good cause for us to be partnered with. So let's dissect this game a little bit. The Eagles got on the board real quick, and they did it running the football. So they go 15 plays, 10 of them are rushes, 8 minutes and 30 seconds they chew off the clock. They go 75 yards. They're up 7-0. Seattle punts after their first drive. The Eagles go 3 and out, but then they come back after another Seattle punt with another drive where they run the football. They go 16 plays, 63 yards to get a field goal, but 11 runs and 5 passes in that drive. 21 runs in those 2 scoring drives. Bill, where did that go?
Where's it been all year? I did a tweet early in the game. That was the first time we've seen DeAndre Swift get double-digit carries in the first half since week 2 against the Minnesota Vikings. That Minnesota Vikings game was the only time all season that they gave DeAndre Swift double-digit carries in both halves. He went off for 175 yards in that game. They tried to get him the ball a little bit in the second half. They gave it to him 8 times, but I think the biggest thing that was criminal in that game is when Jalen Hurts threw that interception to Quez Watkins. First of all, why you're trying to target Quez Watkins is a whole other question, but why you're taking a deep shot there. Your running game is starting to get established again. You're driving down the field. Why take that shot there? Seth's called it greedy offense. It's been greedy all season long. You didn't have to take that shot, especially to Quez Watkins, who hasn't won a 50-50 ball his entire career. So I don't know why they continue to get away from DeAndre Swift. I think if they would have leaned on him that entire football game, they probably win this football game.
When Seattle tied the game at 10-10, the Eagles, I thought, put together a tremendous drive. I thought it was the game-winning drive, frankly. They get up 17-10. In that drive, they went 12 plays, 75 yards. They converted 3 for 3 on third down on that drive. A 3rd and 9, first down, a throw to A.J. A 2nd and 13, Goddard was big. A 3rd and 3 where he rolled right and then he hit Devontae in the seam for 17 yards. Swift for 8, boom, boom, easy peasy. Tush push TD, 17-10. That's where the game should have ended because they did hold Seattle to a field goal. And at that point, when you're up 17-13, you should win that game when you got Seattle in a situation where they have to go 92 yards with Drew Lock, averaging 5 yards an attempt, and they do it. It's still mind-boggling to me.
Well, I mean, look, I want to go back, and I want to talk about play calling, and I'd love to complain about the play calling. There's certainly a lot of room for that. But I just keep going back to the execution of the quarterback. I mean, if you're a Jalen Hurts hater, congratulations. Today's a big win for you because Jalen Hurts, I think, played his worst game. Other than, I mean, some of the interceptions there against the Jets weren't all his fault, but still not his best game by far. But this game, in terms of the execution, it was there and then it wasn't. And it was there the most in the early goings of this game when the coaching staff has their fingerprints on the outcome of the game the most, when they actually script for the game plan and what they're going to be executing in the game. And they executed it well in that opening drive. They got back to it a little bit and then it went away from it. But the decision-making overall by Jalen Hurts, I believe, cost this team more than anything did throughout this entire game. You see them put up 20 points. You think the Eagles got to win this game. You have an MVP caliber quarterback, a guy that was a runner-up in the MVP award a year ago, go up against this secondary, go up against this defense, and they can't even get to the average points allowed by the Seahawks, 24 on this season. They only get to 17 points. And the interception Bill was just talking about, the thing that's so nerve-wracking about that, Mike, you just left off there, right there at the 17-3 point in the game. Eagles have the ball. Eagles are driving. It's a 1st and 10. Just like at the end of the game where there was no reason to air it out to A.J. Brown, there was no reason to air it out down the field. If you're going to throw that football, then that damn well better be a touchdown, or at the worst-case scenario, it's a drastic overthrow out of the back of the end zone. You can't underthrow that football in that type of coverage. That was horrible.
You know, Nick Sirianni and this football team, Nick Sirianni talks a lot about situational football. But not only do, I wonder how much they actually practice it and how much they talk about it, because situationally, they've been horrible this year. This isn't the first time something like this happened. The first Washington game, when they throw the touchdown instead of running the clock out, the Jets game, where they decide to throw the ball and Jalen throws the interception and the Jets intercept it and run it all the way back to the 15, and then they got to let them score. Situationally, they talk about situational football. There's even players every once in a while that's on their social media that's talking about situational football when it comes up, and yet they don't exercise, the best decision making, I should say, in situational situations. Because you want to know something? Listen, if the offensive coordinator is putting the play call in, okay. The play clock is 25 seconds. The minute the ball hits the ground, they wind the play clock. So now the coaching staff has 10 seconds, okay, to actually talk, and it might be longer than that. They got 10 seconds to actually talk to the quarterback before at 15 seconds the communication is cut off, okay? So not only the offensive coordinator has the ability to talk to the quarterback, but I believe the head coach also has the ability to have those conversations too. Why aren't they talking about the situational awareness that they're always preaching about? Telling Jalen, okay, let's take what the defense is giving us. There's no need to take a shot down the field, okay? Take the sack because the clock will keep running. That'll leave them less time to be able to come back in this football game, okay? To me, that's the situational football. Those decisions are the things that are missing. The quarterback has got to make the right decisions, but he's got to be coached and taught those things as well. Yeah. That in those situations, this is where your thinking should be pre-snap.
I get that, but it's still, when that interception happened, there was 8 minutes left in the game. And at that point, you still have time to lock it down because you back Seattle into a corner where they had to go 92 yards. I just can't get past the 3rd and 10 completion to DK Metcalf. This guy hasn't thrown the ball down the field the whole game. 3rd and 10, he completes that. I'm just like, come on.
I was half kidding with you, Mike, when you said they got this. That's it. Let's go down. And the whole thing we're coming down the set. But I'm like, they're going to play against this secondary, which is also not worth bragging about, with the backups that they have in there right now. Drew Lock is not some god-awful quarterback. I think he's average.
Close to god-awful.
I would label him as an average quarterback.
Throw the ball 5 yards down the field.
But you know what's going to happen at the end of a game with just about every football team out there, especially the Philadelphia Eagles. Are they going to pressure? Hell no. They're not going to pressure. So they're going to give them all day to throw. And that wide receiving core, which is absolutely above average, is going to be able to make plays on this secondary. And they put – the thing that really bothers you about me, at least, about the 1st and 10 interception there in the end zone that Quez Watkins was targeted, was that you had the dagger in your hand. You had the nail and hammer in your hand to put it in the coffin of the Seattle Seahawks, and you aired that kind of throw out. But you're right, 92 yards, you should be able to stop Drew Lock.
I can't get
but they weren't.
I'm going to ask you guys this question before you go, Bill. Okay, so Darius Slay is out for 2 to 3 weeks. with his knee issue. James Bradbury, it's apparent that he's cooked. You put Keely Ringo in, and I thought he played a pretty darn good game. I don't understand why they were in and out with these young guys. If he's in there and he's playing well, let him play, okay? So the question moving forward, do you trust James Bradbury to continue to play the way he's been playing? And if you don't, do you make the decision to either put Josh Jobe in his place as a starter or Eli Ricks in his place as a starter and go with two young guys on the corners for the rest of the season and into the playoffs?
Did you guys see the stats coming out of the game? Ringo and Ricks were targeted 5 times. They gave up 0 receptions. James Bradbury was targeted 8 times. He gave up 7 catches for 116 yards, a touchdown, and a passer rating of 118.8.
Inexplicable.
But here's the problem. I agree with you, Seth. I'd bench James Bradbury and I'd go with the young guys. The problem with that is that would be Howie Roseman admitting the mistake of them giving James Bradbury a new deal. I don't think they can get out from this deal.
Listen,
I think
both of them were a mistake.
But I think James Bradbury, if they tried to move on from him at the end of the season, I think he's got like a $12 million dead cap hit next year.
You eat it. There's no way in God's green earth you can bring him back at $12 million next year. You absolutely, unless there's some kind of injury that we're not privy to that's inhibiting his ability to go out and play at the level that he played at last year, then you eat that. Because you got to get healthy there. Listen, somebody tweeted, if you could go back and undo something that Howie did in last year in free agency and change it, what would it be? Okay? My answer was, okay, you sign C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and then you make a choice between either Slay or Bradbury, but you don't sign two 30-year-old plus guys back. And then on the second first rounder that you have, or the first second-round pick that you have, you go and you get a young corner that you can develop for down the road. Those are the changes that you make, because everything else that they've done is a moot issue. You got two 30-year-old cornerbacks that you're paying $12 million each, and neither one of them, can run and get it done the way they really need to get it done. Now, Darius Slay will defend himself, but show me the big plays, Mr. Slays.
The other problem Howie Roseman made was they put too much faith again in Avonte Maddox, who's proven time and time again, as good as he is when he's healthy, he can't stay healthy.
Yeah. All right, let's get into game balls. Brought to us by Colony Pools. Check it out online at flywithcolony.com.
Don't even ask me, I'm punting.
Give it to the punter.
Sign up right now for Colony Pools Winter Watch program. It's a great program if you have a pool. Get your custom Kelly Green pool cover delivered in 2024, although the luster on the Kelly Green is a little dimmer as we speak tonight. Game balls, folks. Screw it. I'm going to give it to the guy who deserved it tonight, Kenneth Walker, the third. Carried 19 times for 86 yards. He caught a couple passes for 26. He held them up for a long time, so he's getting my game ball tonight. You got an Eagle you want to give a game ball to?
Oh,
Go ahead, knock yourself out.
Absolutely not. Jake Elliott maybe again, but no. I go with Drew Lock, the guy that got the football in his hands with 92 yards in front of him, and he said, to hell with this. We're going downtown, baby. And he was the guy that, look, bottom line is he doubled up Jalen Hurts' passer rating tonight. Think about that for a second. He more than doubled up Jalen Hurts' passer rating. I'm going with Drew Lock. Congratulations. Eagles suck.
Who you got? What game ball you have up your sleeve?
Look, nobody deserves a game ball on that Eagle side of the ball, but I bet you a guy who's going to bed maybe a little bit with a smile on his face, maybe Sean Desai, because it was, hey, you thought I was the problem? Great call, Patricia, on that last play, putting James Bradbury man-to-man by himself on Jackson Smith-Njigba. You should have had Ringo out there, maybe even Eli Ricks, because Bradbury couldn't cut it. So, hey, Sean Desai maybe gets a little victory tonight.
Oh, man. Sean Desai. Cynical. Seth, who you got?
Hey, listen, you know what, man? These are some of the same issues. We talked about it in pregame that plagued Matt Patricia in Detroit. Played a lot of cover one, a lot of man coverage, and even when, people made a big deal about it, he wouldn't back off of it, and it wound up biting this team, in the most critical game of the season. Listen, I don't have a game ball, man. Like I told you, I'm punting. There's nobody that's worthy, when you lose a game like this against a team like this, there's no one worthy of a game ball.
That's why I gave it to Seattle.
Oh, I can't.
We
go,
can't sit here
I can't go that
give
far.
a game
now.
ball to an Eagle.
It was interesting. I wasn't on the last segment with John McMullen. Did you guys talk to him at all about Jalen Hurts' comments about how this team needs to have more commitment?
I brought it up to
What
him,
did he say about that?
I don't know. Well, you remember what he said about that?
Well, Jalen,
He's not alone. Yeah.
Jalen basically said, hey, I don't have a dictionary in front of me, but it's the word commitment.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
It's just interesting to me that's the comment after this game, especially with some of the bad decisions that Jalen Hurts
Well,
made.
that's how I asked the question. Because, of all guys, like he really didn't look that committed tonight either.
He did say, it does. He sounded like a coach. It starts with me. I have to improve on what I'm doing out there. But I felt we weren't committed enough tonight.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We still have to give our defender of the game, and we'll close it down and look ahead to this season and where it's headed. It is the Pilot Hockey Eagles post-game show with the gang right here live at Ocean Casino. Back after this.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.